Snuggle up with your stuffies. All right, I have second day hair. Don't care. I have a hair appointment today, so bear with me. Hi, readers. It's Lori. Welcome back to my channel, Books, Ink, and Paper, and welcome to our most anticipated reads list for May. And by saying our, I guess I mean me and Winifred, because I don't know where that came from. But I researched these while Winnie was laying down near me, so I guess we did this together. But there are, let's see, 14 of them, 15 of them. It's a little bit more than usual. I did used to keep these to 10 because the reading journal I used then only gave me room for 10 really easily. But now I am realizing that the book journal, reading journal that I have is actually much bigger of a space. So I'm going to give you 15 titles. Now, some of these I am like so ready for and have been ready for and have been delighted and squealing as soon as I saw that they were coming out. And some of these are just books that I think I would like, and some of them I'm really not sure about, but I feel like you might want to know about them. Who knows, right? We all have very different tastes, so let's get started. So the first one is one of my squealing ones. This is Good Joy, Bad Joy by Mickey Brammer. All right, so the first one was one of the ones I squealed about. So we're going to start off with a bang. This is Good Joy, Bad Joy by Mickey Brammer. Mickey Brammer was the author of The Collected Regrets of Clover, and I really loved that one. It came out years ago. I was really hoping she would continue to write, and she did. This one is also dark, as that one was. It was beautifully written. It was well paced. It had a great plot, and I hope that this one is as well. It has a 4.25 rating so far, but only 319 people have rated it. And so it is, of course, just coming out. This comes out on May 5th. Now, I will say this, that this one is also feels a little dark, and I just read a book about a little bit about death, and I'm not going to tell you which one it is yet, but I'll talk about it in my wrap up. So I'm kind of feeling like, oh, but this one is about potential death. So this is about Joy Bridport, and Joy is a really good person. She's been a devoted wife. She's been a good mother. She's been contributing to friends, family, work, all those things that she's done. She's lived in a small town, and she's, of course, disrupted by the fact that her best friend Hazel is sick, terminally ill, and she's so worried about Hazel. Hazel doesn't have long to live, and she decides she's going to go off and take care of Hazel because they've been so close for so long. You know, you can imagine that you would do that for a friend, right? You probably have a friend that popped into mind when I said this. So she has always been more adventurous, whereas her friend Hazel has been a little bit less adventurous and quiet. And so she wants to now explore living the rest of her life meaningfully and boldly because she recognizes that Hazel's life is not going to last long. So this becomes not just about Hazel and support, but also about Joy. Joy wants to have something that shifts her up or shakes her around a little bit. But she chooses, and I'm not sure, this is an interesting development, but also the other book that she wrote was interesting too. The concepts were surprising at times and were unique. So Joy decides to start committing some petty crime. She just starts taking things, I guess, that she really wants for herself. And she also wants to have an experience of bad joy, which, you know, good joy has been good all of her life. And a lot of us can understand that. Like, I can't understand stealing anything at this age of my life, but I can understand wanting to really kind of, you know, make your life big, bold, right? So people see you or you see yourself differently. So what happens in this, I don't know, but it does say that it's a bit funny. It does say that it's a bit emotional, clearly, and it's heartwarming. So I'm all in, and I loved the other book by this author, so I am not going to hesitate to read this. Whether I'll buy it or not is another question. This one has been talked about a bit by other people. It always happens, right? I did this list weeks ago and I'm just now getting to it. So number 2 is Summer State of Mind by Christy Woodson Harvey. This is not an author that I remember reading before, although I haven't checked, to be quite honest. This one is rated at a 4.27, has about 201 ratings so far. And this comes out also on the 5th of May. There is a 10-day giveaway as of the moment I am recording this, and I feel like I'm going to get this edited and posted soon. So you have a little bit of time to enter that giveaway on Goodreads if you would like. I've heard several people talk about this in their list of anticipated reads for May, and I think it's worth giving it a look on my end. This is a romance, contemporary, fiction, obviously. It's a summer read, which is good. It's set in the South, which is also good for me. It's set in South Carolina or North Carolina, which I actually love more than South Carolina. So that's good. But this is about a nurse, a NICU nurse named Daisy Stevens. And it says, runs to Cape Carolina in North Carolina, but she also wants a bit of a new life, a new take on her experiences. And she's also maybe open to a romance with someone. And she meets on her first day a coach for a baseball team in a high school named Mason Thaisden. Weird, right? Mason Thaisden. But Mason is from this area, Cape Carolina, and Mason has also been sort of rejected for the big leagues in baseball. He's not been able to sort of fulfill his life's dream, but he kind of, limps on through the work that he's doing with students, I guess. So she ends up meeting Mason that first day. And Mason shows her around. He tells her about all the things that she could, do in this little area and the people that she might want to meet. And he also introduces her to his Aunt Tilly. This is the second time a character named Tilly has come into my purview, so that's also interesting. Introducing her to Aunt Tilly results in the fact that Aunt Tilly now tells her some things about her life that are very secretive, and she wants to get it off her chest and kind of have a new start. Then it becomes a little weird. Let's just be frank. I think it becomes a little weird, this synopsis. After she starts to relate to Aunt Tilly and I suppose start to support her through her stuff, she realizes that she's very attached to this baby, and then something changes or shifts, and you probably can anticipate what that might be. And it starts to pull the whole town apart. She and Mason are now both sort of in a place where they are trying to right the wrong, probably, around this abandoned baby. But also, this is probably when their relationship begins to take off. But I guess what's weird for me is there's a little part about a stage show of Hello Dolly, which I don't know where that comes in. So I guess this is probably a little bit of a cozy romance or a light-hearted romance, and maybe it's not quite as dark and deep as it sounds from the synopsis, because I think an abandoned baby and a NICU nurse and a baseball player who couldn't make his way into the Cubs team, just because that's my favorite. That's tricky. But the Hello Dolly thing kind of made me go, But a lot of people have talked about this author, and she does have a good rating, so I'm throwing it out here, and I may give it a shot. John of John by Douglas Stewart, who is a Booker-winning author. He wrote Shugglebane, I think it was called, and Young Mungo. I have not read any of those, but this one was interesting to me, so I am bringing it forward. It also has a 4.61 rating of 423 so far, and it comes out on May 5th. You're going to notice that a lot of the books I'm going to share with you today came out on May 5th. Or come out on May 5th. So this one is about John Callum MacLeod. John Callum MacLeod is the second John of the dads whose name is John, hence John of John. And he ends up out of money, and he's really been struggling. He doesn't have much of an education that will give him a job that's high performing. He had a school art education program or something like that. And so he goes back to his family home of Harris to find it's pretty much the same as when he left it. His family members are very much the same as they were in his childhood. He has his father, John, is a sheep farmer, and he weaves things, and he's a guy who's completely connected to their church. Like, he's very religious and he's very Presbyterian. And his grandmother, his maternal grandmother, is apparently a woman who has no qualms about profane language, and she's called a Glaswegian. And she's just very different than her son. I was intrigued by that part for sure. But Cal starts looking for a lonely man, which would, to me, suggest that Carl is gay. And his father, of course, is probably struggling with it because it says that he can't wait for Cal to be saved. Like, that's his goal, is to get Cal into the space of, salvation, and into understanding probably that being gay is not a good idea. And so this is how they begin again, and then they begin to start to change. So they begin to be patient and really look at truth and and who we are. And I just think that this one might be amazingly good. This is literary fiction. It is obviously has an LGBT queer storyline. It's set in Scotland, which is one of the things that really got me in there. And also it's very contemporary. So John of John is one that's on my list, and I have never read anything by Douglas Stewart, so I feel like this might be the way to go. Fraying family, father's expectations, what a son wants in his life. A lot of these have a similar vein, and I got to tell you, my brain is just taking it all in because I have recently been reading some books about these kinds of subjects. All right, now for something completely different. Which, if you know where that quote came from, you get 10 points for the day. This is Make Believe by Mac Barrett. This comes out again on 5 May. We're there on that day for a long, long time. 4.46 ratings, about 360 of those are currently in. This is the National Ambassador for Young People's Literature, and he's written a meditation on the ways we think and interact with children's literature and what it says about our opinions of childhood and children. And I love this cover. It's, about telling stories to children, which I have often done and loved, and feel like both the reading or the remembering the plot or just making up a children's story has always been, to me, quite a fun thing to do with my children, and now my grandchildren and my nieces and great nieces and nephews. So Mac Barrett has quite a unique concept here, and I feel like this would be something that I would want to get to. This is 160 pages, so it's not super long. It is paperback. It's published by Little Brown and Company, so it might be a little bit less visible in the stores. I don't know, but I got to tell you, this one caught my eye. So that's Make Believe, telling stories to children. Let's do it. All right. This is the second squeal. This is Catherine Stockett, who is releasing the Calamity Club on May the 5th as well. Catherine Stockett wrote The Help years ago. It was a smash hit. I loved it, partly because it's set in Mississippi, and it's set, in a space that I've been in more than once. And I just absolutely thought it was one of the best books I had read at that time. And it worries me slightly that this one is not going to hit the hype that I am hoping for, but it does have a 4.41 with 414 ratings so far. I don't know if you all knew this, but there are theories, and I can't say whether these are true or not, that once you get an advanced reader's copy rating out with several hundred people, then when it comes out in real release time, that those numbers go down a little bit with the general public, the larger general public. I don't know if that's true. I could see where it could be, but hopefully not. Hopefully this is one that I'm going to absolutely love as much as I loved The Help. And by the way, if you haven't read The Help, or if you haven't seen the film of The Help, the adaptation of the film, I highly recommend both of them. So thank you, Catherine Stockett, for returning with us with another book. And it's okay that it took you so long. Okay, so this one is set in Oxford, Mississippi, one of my favorite places to go, but not to live probably. And this was set in 1933, so historical fiction, much like The Help. This one is about a young girl named Meg who was abandoned by her mother on Christmas Eve one year. Can you imagine? And she can, of course, trust no one anymore. And she's in an unadoptable big girl orphan asylum is what the synopsis says, which to me is, of course, horrendous, but it is what they used to call them. And that's where she has to live now. And she is obviously struggling. Anybody would struggle in this situation, right? And then we have Bertie Calhoun, who is unmarried, very loud. She's come to Oxford to ask her socialite sister to help her find the family that she doesn't know and she hasn't seen or had any kind of a relationship with, I think, for a while. Bertie and her sister are in the height of the Depression, which is a very difficult era, but it is an era that I do enjoy reading about. Bertie discovers that her sister's life, that she says is so wonderful and beautiful, is not actually true. So her sister is lying. Then Bertie meets Charlie, who's really struggling, a little down on the luck, and not a whole lot going on. And when Meg and Charlie come up with a plan to claim what's rightfully theirs, then I think Bertie starts to get to know them and try to figure out maybe how she can help. This says it will make you laugh and cry and root for these characters, and that was kind of what happened with The Help. So I feel like that's her way of doing this. This is 656 pages in hardcover, so it is also a chunker. I don't care. So this category would be historical fiction, literary fiction, book club, book picks. People love to say this now. And it also has a lot to do with feminism and the power of women and the way that they grow and develop, whether they have support from family or don't. I think it's going to be great. So Catherine Stockett, I feel like, is going to make my year again with a new release that I can't wait to read. That will be a must buy. I'm hoping it shows up on Book of the Month. All right, still on May 5th, 4.38 rating, 178 ratings on this one. This is The Girl with a Thousand Faces by Sunyi Dean. Sunyi Dean has written The Book Eaters. I have that on my shelves. I have not read it. I have considered prioritizing that very soon, so I feel like that could happen if I am interested in getting to this, which I think I am. This cover is stunningly done. It's just beautiful. And this is a horror, which I think The Book Eaters was and is as well. This is set in Hong Kong, which to me is a really nice thing because I am trying to read books from other countries this year, and I can't remember. I think I've read a book set in Hong Kong over the years, but not recently, I don't think, unless the one I'm thinking of was set there. But nevertheless, Mercy Chan washes up on the shores of Hong Kong with no family, no money, no memories. She just has no idea what's happened, except she's been within the confines of the horror of World War II. So she's been really struggling, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally. And she's survived by hiding in this weird city called the Kowloon Walled City, which is a ghost-infested slum with lost and traumatized people. So they all apparently go to this space, and that's where they end up sort of living and trying to survive. She's rebuilt her life since the end of the war, and she's found work, and she has friends, and she's, dealing with all the things that are happening in this space where they're being haunted by a number of ghosts. And it's starting to feel like a place that she could call home until the past sneaks up on her. And she discovers that something is going to connect her back to the memories that she doesn't have anymore and what might have happened to her. And she ends up with a very difficult, dark spirit. And she's realizing that she needs something. She needs to be able to get out of this space. So then the synopsis shifts to a new character called Sun Soo Yin. And she and her mother flee Hong Kong, and they are going to try to find her mother's ancestral home and live there beautifully, remotely, out off the grid. I don't know how Mercy Chan and Sung Soo Yun and her child are connected, or her mother, sorry, are connected. I'm not sure how that works, but she's drawn into the past of the island, and so there must be some correlation between these two characters. People say that this particular author is very unique, very interesting, and it's a great genre kind of blending situation in some ways. So I think that I need to get to the Book Eaters and then next The Girl with a Thousand Faces. But this is fantasy, horror, historical fiction, gothic. Definitely an adult read. This one is 320 pages, and I think it's a possibility. All right, so Homebound by Portia Elon. This one has a 3.92, so not quite at the space where we've been so far, but I think that I will love this one. It is set in the 80s, which I love. And it's about a young girl as well. This is interesting, right? So this is Bex is her name, and she's wanting to leave Cincinnati. She's not happy there. She's been restless. She's 19. She has a Walkman. I remember walking and listening to my Walkman when I first moved here, I think. Yeah, it was the second time, but yeah. So long time ago, right? Her uncle, the only person who's ever really understood her, has died. So she's really feeling like she needs something new, some sort of a reset, restart for her. So her uncle has left her a game to complete after he's died. And so she says, I got to do that before I do anything else. So here's where it got me at hello, no matter what the rating is. She undertakes the game. She starts to connect with other people. She's connecting with scientists. She's connecting with a sea captain. She's having all these experiences. Talk about having a new life, right? Getting out of Cincinnati, having a new life. And all of these are in search for some level of connection. There's a traveler and some mystery through space. That's where it got me. You can see by the cover that space might be a thing, and I think it is. I hope it is. I hope it's really, really good. So this is historical fiction, queer LGBT characters, science fiction, fiction obviously, and it is for adults. And I think it's time for me to get to this. And I don't think I said that one comes out on May 5th too. I'll tell you when May 5th ends, because it hasn't still. This is Enormous Wings by Lori Frankel, and we're still on May 5th. 4.15 rating, 488 people have read this. Lori Frankel is pretty well known, I would say. And this sounds like it might be really fun. You notice I have fewer mystery thrillers this time than I usually do, which I think is good. It's time for me to step out. This novel is called Exuberant. All right, I'm all in. Here's what got me here. 77-year-old Pepper Mills has been living on her own for a while, but her family, her children, decide to put her into a retirement community in Austin, Texas. So she now is trying to, work on this. She begrudgingly moves in. She tries to make friends, and she actually falls in love with one of the other people that live in this retirement community. Great thing, right? All wonderful. But then she's become exhaustive, vomiting. She's confused. She's really struggling with her health, and her grandchildren are sure that it's cancer. But she's pregnant. Yes, I said 77 and pregnant. So this one is now becoming like, yep, gotta get it. I entered a giveaway for this one. There's 7 days left for it, but I entered it a while ago. I really hope I get it. Nevertheless, press, the paparazzi, people are finding out about this. Medical practitioners are really trying to figure out how this is even possible. And it says it's about female agency, which got me. Bodily autonomy, morality, and mortality. I can't imagine a more complex story, but it's fiction, contemporary fiction, literary fiction, family, saga, adult, and a drama, of course, as well. This is 304 pages, and I think that is a must read for me. Thank you, Lori Frankel, for making my day when I first saw that. I'm telling you guys, May is probably the best release month of all. Look What You Made Me Do is a story about Kate and her husband, whose name is Jack. 30 years they've been married. They've been happily married, and everything is going fine in North London. They also have some neighbors named Phoebe and Tony, who is her partner, not her husband. And they know each other, they see each other, they live fairly close, I think. And the next thing you know, Phoebe, who is a screenwriter, millennial, she's created a story called, or a show called Cheating. And she, in this show, begins to reveal details of a couple and their sex life and the things that they're doing. And Kate begins to realize in watching the series that this series may be about some of her relationship with her husband. Maybe he's realizing it too. How would her neighbor Phoebe know some of the things that they're doing and put them in this show? It can't be fate. So this is, again, a black comedy of love, trust, resentment, entitlement, and it is two different women who are vying for this like battle that only one of them can come out on top of, essentially. Satire, contemporary. I can't wait. I can't wait. What am I going to do? I have got to stop buying all these, though. That's what I'm going to do. I have got to just allow these to come out when they come out in my library. All right, this one is nonfiction as well. This one has a 4.00 rating, but only 14 people have rated this. I don't think it's getting a lot of buzz, but you'll know why in a minute. Nonfiction, also about Emily Bronte. This Dark Night is about her life as an author, a poet and an author. She wrote Wuthering Heights, if you didn't know. And it is one of the favorites of a lot of Bronte's sister readers. I have not read Wuthering Heights in a long time. I have a fairly new, nice copy of it. It sits on my shelves. And I thought when I saw this, maybe you should give Emily Bronte a little bit of love this year. We'll see. But this is drawn upon her notebooks, manuscripts, the things that other people said about her. She had a very strange life. She lived from 1818 to 1848, and she completed Wuthering Heights in 2 years, which is a bit, but it took a long time for it to really come out as a prominent story. Okay, so it talks about her sisters Charlotte and Anne, which are also fairly famous, right? And I'm sure there was some rivalry there, perhaps, between the sisters. I've always wondered about that because they were all writing books at the same time. But she also looks at her father's space in this and how her whole life kind of had to be rotating around the things that were expected of her by her parents and just by society at that time, and also the things maybe that she wanted to write about and the things that were really inside of her and her brain. So it was stormy. Wuthering Heights was stormy, and I think her life was a bit stormy, and she didn't live very long, which to me is very sad. So I would like to get to this one at some point, probably a library borrow, but if you like Emily Bronte or any of the Bronte sisters, you might love this too. All right, readers, this one I haven't given up on yet because I'm not yet sure if I'm going to continue this series, but this is the Daisy Chain Flower Shop. This one comes out on the 5th of May as well. Can you believe that? We are on book 11 and we're still on May 5th, but Lori Gilmore wrote this, 4.11 rating. People love these, very steamy, cozy stories about this community in Dream Harbor. This is book number 6 in the series. I have stopped at the strawberry pancake something, I think, or strawberry cookie one, but I don't still know if I'm even going to read that and carry on. Every time I see these books, I think, Lori, what are you going to do? Are you going to read these or are you going to not? I started out liking them more than the last one that I read. I realized that they are very similar, and I love this little town of people, generally speaking, and I do like that there's a new romance each time, and there's a new little place or shop or something that they offer as women, which I think are important as well. But yeah, I don't know. So I don't want to know a whole lot about this. It's book number 6. If you don't either, you can, of course, mute this until this goes away. But this is about a young girl, Daisy, who's created a daisy chain flower shop. I know, they're very campy. And she's been doing weddings and trying to make money in that way. She's also now, though, done some wedding bouquets for people who have divorced. And so she's feeling like people are looking at her as the person who has broken up marriages just by having this flower shop. I don't know how that would kind of tie in, but that's what the synopsis says, and that's all I'm going to read. But 4.11 is, I mean, people love these books. They really, really do. So I'm not going to say I won't read it, but I don't know. We'll see. This one I think is fascinating because it has the title that it has and that it's released in the month that it is. And I'm going to say that this one is releasing on May 12th. Finally, we've moved out. When I researched this, it had a 4.01 rating and currently has a 3.97. So again, the more people rate it, the more people read it, the more that it will fluctuate up and down. It depends. But again, this one is The May House by Gillian Cantor. Three adult sisters have inherited a beach house from their grandmother. Very common trope, right? And they have to then return to this beach house every May to spend a week together and connect as a family and talk about all the things that are important to them because, of course, they're sisters. And I do like books about sisters. In fact, I was thinking about that this morning when I was looking at one on my shelf, and I was thinking about my own sister. So the one thing they know is that they'll see each other every year for a week in May, which, of course, probably is a happier experience for some than others, or maybe none of them are particularly close. As adults, they're definitely not as close as they were as children. So, three adult sisters, beach house every year. Grandmother made them promise. They're not as close as adults, so they're definitely not loving this, like return to this beach house every year for a week. And one of their sisters, suddenly, Julia, doesn't show up, which of course is the most dependable sister. So they're very curious about this. Like, why would Julia not come? Now they're starting to consider how much they actually know about Julia and what she might be up to and family secrets. And if you know me and you've watched me for any level of time, but if you don't, here you go. I love family sagas. I love difficult family relationships or difficult people. I don't mind if things don't wrap up in a shiny, happy bow. And this one may not, but it says it's an irresistible story about the bond of sisters and what matters most in life and all its ups and downs, which again returns to some of the things I was talking about earlier. Like, what is the experience we want to have in our lives? What's most important to us? What do we care enough about to really step into or to say, no, that's not for me? This is adult fiction, summer, literary fiction, contemporary. I'm so looking forward to that one as well. How much money do you think I would have to spend to buy all of these? Well, maybe not all of them, but a good number of them. A lot. A lot. This one is number 13. Take Me With You by Stephen Rowley. Very popular author. Funny guy, I hear. Haven't read him. Lots of people love him. This is his new wholly original love story, it says. So I think in the past, he's written books about being with his nieces and nephews, perhaps, those kinds of things. I really don't know a whole lot about him except that people love him. So we'll see. This is a queer read. This is about a relationship between Jesse Del Ruth, and he's been abandoned by his husband, Norman, who gets up one night out of bed, walks into their Joshua Tree backyard, and steps into a beam of light, never to be seen again. He disappears. Yes, I know. So obviously, how could he do this? How could he walk away? Like, what made him do this is Jesse's now quest to discover, and he's very upset. He's trying to figure out how to live without Norman. He's trying to wait for him. He's worried that he'll never come back. He has no idea what's going to happen. So he's also then trying to figure out how he wants to change his life or do something that lifts him up. So should he, buy a dog? Should he do something crazy and out of character? What should he do? But then his sister Lolly lands on his doorstep, and she has something she needs for him to do. urgently for her. And so he now even misses Norman even more. I'm not sure what that thing is, but he now starts to realize that he has a conspiracy theorist neighbor. This is driving him nuts. He has a stranger that's following him all over the place. And he's also concerned that perhaps the person who's following him had something to do with Norman's disappearance. So he's confronting all of these things. And he's also trying to understand why Norman would leave him. So it has a resonant wit, it says, an emotional insight into an epic love story. Will Norman return? I need to know. Magical realism, LGBTQ queer themes, contemporary literary fiction, 368 pages. Maybe this is the first one that I go with by Stephen Rowley. But as normal, I will ask you which one, if you've read Stephen Rowley, is your favorite, or which one do you think I should start with? Because I think that's important. All right, we're almost done. This one is a sequel. This is book two, and I don't know that I will read book two until I read book one, which it has been on my radar. This is the second in the Hollywood Renaissance series, and this is called Score by Kennedy Ryan. This is a second chance romance between a screenwriter and a musician. And I've heard lots of good things about Kennedy Ryan, so I feel like it's time for me to get into this space with her. 4.85 rating, but it has 62, so not a lot of people have taken a look at this yet. It's blurbed by NPR. NPR does often talk about Kennedy Ryan. She's very well known for romance, African American, rom-com fiction, adult, contemporary. She's, not like it's not cozy, let's just say that. Verity Hill is her name, and she's had a love of her life, and she's haunted by the fact that they are not together. It's just not working for her. She's trying to say that time will heal her wounds, but it's not working. Monk, who is the guy who is no longer with her, was also devastated by this, and he doesn't understand what happened, and he is devastated as well. So they're both struggling. So Verity and Monk now have to work together. Monk is now a world-class musician. He's creating the score, and Verity is creating the screenwriting. And it sounds like this will, of course, bring them back into a space where they must decide if this is going to work or not. I hear great things about Kennedy Ryan, and I think this would be great. And the first one is called Real, by the way, in this series. And this one is a Hollywood story about ambition and obsession and love and all those things. And that one, you can tell by the cover kind of what that's going to be like, I think. And I've not gotten to it. All right. And the last one is The Midnight Train by Matt Haig, which came up in my book club discussion last night with some friends, with Alex at Frank Fiction and Kat at Kat's Novel Adventures. And I think it was Kat, maybe, that, I don't remember, somebody didn't like the Midnight Library, but I did. I liked it a lot. So this is book number 2 in the Midnight World. Also has a giveaway. I'm going to enter it real quick. I did love The Midnight Library. I don't remember what I rated it, but I liked it a lot. This is magical realism, romance, time travel, sci-fi, fantasy fiction, definitely for adults. The first one was science fiction, magical realism as well. And again, I really liked it. I think my daughter really liked it a lot. And this one is Midnight Train. And when I say The Midnight Train, the song pops in my head. If you know, you know, and it drives me slightly crazy, but perhaps I will listen to that song after I finish it. There is a giveaway for 6 days as of the day that I'm filming this. And again, I'm hoping this is going to go up tonight or tomorrow. But this is 304 pages and expected to release on the 26th of May with 4.12 as a rating. 569 people have rated it. Now, The Midnight Train can take you there to relive the moments of your life that were the most meaningful to you. So you can imagine when I say this to you that the books that I am now looking at for May are books that are reminding me of what I'm reading or read in April. It is very strange. So Wilbur's memory of his wife Maggie and the love of his life and their honeymoon in Venice will never go away. Those were the best days of his life, but then he gave it all away somehow. So he wants to go back and do it differently. But to do so, he has to risk everything. I'm assuming it risks his ability to come back into the present. I'm not sure, but the midnight train going everywhere, I have to say it, is definitely an experience for Wilbur that will maybe change his life in some way and maybe for the better. So, again, I loved the last one. I love time travel. I love this author. I really need to get to one that's on my shelves back there as well because I keep looking at it and I keep saying this is, I think it's one of my self-destruct books for this year. I'm not sure, but Midnight Train, Matt Haig, 26 May. I know. So 15 books that I may have to buy, 13 of them. That's craziness. Let me know which books really hit you today, which ones you're really looking forward to, which ones you know you would read because you've read that author before. Let me know anything that I need to know about these authors or these books, especially if you've read an arc. That would be great for me to know. Let me know what genres really speak out for you. And in the comments below, if you don't want to leave a comment, you can certainly leave an emoji. It can be a magical emoji. It could be a wings emoji. It could be a summer kind of emoji, all kinds of opportunities here for you to do that as well. If you're new to my channel, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video today. And if you want to stick around, you certainly can. For those of you who've been with me forever, thank you so much for your support, especially this last week when I wasn't feeling well. Your comments have just really been helpful and supportive. And I thank you very, very much. I am feeling better today. There's still a little bit of growth to go for me to continue to feel best, but I will get there. I know. So thanks again for watching. Enjoy these May releases. And as always, happy reading. Bye.